What's going on, guys? I have Casey Jones, number 2, and just to kind of give us a quick little recap, Casey Jones, he's recovering from that gunshot from Hale in issue 1. He was getting kind of antsy, so he starts going out and doing a vigilante life. He comes across like a little mutant who's like out there looking for her father and in bad parts of the neighborhood, so to speak. And she tells him, "Hey, I can't go to the police because he's not exactly the most lawful abiding citizen." So he's like, "Don't worry, I'll go out and help find her, or sorry, find him rather." And that's what he's looking to do. He runs into some individuals who are like using some sort of like a more or less like instant steroids where they inject themselves and turn the tide on a fight, and then he gets rescued by the turtles and all that. And yeah, he's out there popping stitches and stuff like that. He is not fully recovered. And also we saw two mutants being captured while they were unloading a truck or something like that. That is going to play a factor in on this one. So that should give us enough of a recap as far as what this story is going to be about. And let's just get going. So, like I said, Casey Jones, number 2. We have Alex and as our writer, and Amanke. Amanke. I'll. You know what? I'm just not even going to attempt any further. That is our artist on this one. So. And I will say that the art is pretty good. I do like a lot of what we have here. So we get an overview of the city. We have inner monologue from Casey himself. And he's basically just talking about how New York's kind of a lonely city, even though it's got so many people. But everybody just kind of keeps to himself. And he's like, no, sometimes that's good, but you really kind of need to find your people. And as an example, he says people like April. And April is waking up, and he goes on to explain that she's been living with him and keeping an eye on him, and the only thing that she asks is that he gives her no nasty surprises. And, well, she wakes up, finds a blood trail going into the bathroom, and she creeps in and sees Casey over here just stitching himself up from the prior night's vigilante work. And obviously this is a bit of a nasty surprise as well, and all he can really say is, hey Rumi, can you pass me the scissors so I can cut my stitches? So, yeah, not exactly keeping his side of the story here. Meanwhile, we're going to cut over to the two mutants that got captured, and we're seeing they're just being zapped by a big old cattle prod. This guy here, his name is Hunter, and he's just zapping and torturing them and stuff like that. And Hunter is then coming over to Mr. Marlin. Marlin, we saw him briefly with his son, and they look to be hunting down a mutant. And we have Lidovic over here. He is the snow leopard who was the one that captured those other two mutants that are now being tortured. And he's kind of the first assistant over here, or the top guy outside of Marlin. And then Hunter goes off, and they're talking about how Hunter was kind of like looking at Lidovic and was like, didn't really, Marlin says that he doesn't really know whether to salute you or whether to stuff you and mount you on a wall. He was really kind of puzzled, and he remarks that that's a good thing to keep both enemies and allies in a state of confusion as far as what your intentions are. And then he goes on to, give kudos to Ludovic for, capturing everybody and doing such a good job. So he hands him a pocket watch, and Ludovic crushes it, on accident. It's not an intentional thing. And Ludovic goes on to say, it's, he wishes that wasn't the case. His mutant powers are just kind of out of his control at times and asks for more of that serum that he has. And he said, I've been trying to ration it like you said, Marlon, but with what I've been up to, it's affecting the performance of it, so I do need some more. And Marlon kind of brushes off the work that he's been doing. He's like, it's just capturing mutants. How hard could it be? But all right, well, here you go. And hands him more serum. And Ludovic goes on to ask if he would be able to join Marlon and his family for breakfast this morning within the house. And Marlon's like, no. Maybe some other time. And Ludovic goes on to, thank him, and that's the end of it. Now, right off the bat, it very much looks like Ludovic's gonna do something similar to like Alopex. Now, I don't know the fate of Alopex right now. Where I'm at in the previous series, she is friendly with the turtles. However, she can be influenced by the god or demon fox lady. I can't remember her name right off the top of my head at this particular moment. But she was one with the foot, then kind of saw the error of her ways and is trying to redeem herself. Now, I don't think Ludovic is going to do that necessarily, be one of the good guys. I think he's going to kind of do more of the old Hob route, where he's just kind of his own thing and doing what he feels is best. Now, again, I don't know what happened to old Hob. Where I'm at currently, Hob is he's kind of the leader of the Mutanimals. I always have a hard time saying that. Where he's got an assortment of mutants under his control, or not control, but under his leadership. And he's trying to do good in the world. However, it's not always the best of ways that he goes about things. So I think that's more the route that Ludovic's going to end up going. I'm pretty sure, especially with how blatantly obvious that Marlon doesn't seem to like. He doesn't really seem to like Ludovic. He's just using him for his purposes. And once Ludovic understands that, I think he is just going to go, oh, well, fuck this, and move on with himself. Also, Ludovic just hates himself as a mutant as well. And it's just going to be one of those things where he's going to end up learning to at least accept himself. Maybe still not like himself or love himself, but at least accept himself. And right now he struggles to even do that much. So we cut back to our two prisoners now who have been captured, and we find that they're not alone. While they're trying to piece together who Ludovic is, a third member who's sitting in there clues him in of his name, and basically lets them know, I used to have 4 other people in here with me, and he says here that they were taken in the middle of the night and then the screaming started. So it's looking pretty grim as to what their fates are all going to be. We cut back over to Casey, who's trying to get April to come on back because April's not thrilled with Casey already back in the vigilante life, and he's not even fully healed. And she snaps at him and is like, me, Raph, and Jenica, we're all taking turns watching over you in the ICU, and, it seems like you're just daring somebody to come and finish the job for you already. You're barely recovered. What the hell are you doing? And so, this is also the first time that Jenica gets mentioned in this series, whether it's the main series or either spin-off. And so I at least know that she's alive, and when it comes to Jenica, I know she's kind of a contested character as far as people's feelings towards her. Now, I do not consider her one of the Ninja Turtles. When people say Ninja Turtles, I think of the 4 brothers. I accept Jenica as kind of like one of the friendlies, like Casey or April, Usagi, or periodically you'll have friendlies with Slash or even Leatherhead. And I consider her more there. I think she just happens to be a turtle, and that it seems like we were going the She-Hulk route. Because from my understanding, she is a human where I'm at currently. And I did get clued in that it seems like a blood transfusion from Leonardo is what caused her to turn into a turtle. And I'm like, okay, but that still doesn't make her one of the brothers. She got basically infected with mutagen, and she turned into a turtle because of that. And I don't understand how that would even be a case because Leo was turtle first, not human. So I'll get to that and maybe give my thoughts later on that as I get there because I don't know 100% if that is the case, but just what I'm going is I accept her as a character. She doesn't bother me as is, where she's at as a former assassin for the Foot, and now, well, may or may not be still under Splinter's leadership. There were some things that happened, and it doesn't look like Splinter is leading the Foot as is, but I could be wrong. But yeah, as far as where I'm at with Jennika, I don't accept her as a Ninja Turtle when referenced. She's not a fifth turtle. She just happens to be a turtle and is an ally with the turtles. That's kind of where I just leave that. So, moving on now. Casey goes on to explain, the whole situation with Annabelle, the daughter who's looking for her son, and she's looking for Solly. Solly, oh goodness. Who is this individual over here that we just met? And I forgot to mention that. So yes, Solly is right here. He's been captured, but Casey does not know that at this time. But that is who Casey is out there looking for, and he's pleading with April. He's like, just let me finish this, make it right for Annabelle, and I'll take it easy from here on. And April's like, I'm sorry, I can't sign off on you basically running out and killing yourself. Can't do it. And so we later catch up with Casey. He is now at a like basically a fight club. It's a bar. It's got a fighting ring, and he is up against this like 300-pound bison named Lafferty, and they're fighting, and Casey's holding up his own. He's getting beat up quite a bit though, but then ends up turning the tide, winning the fight. And while we're watching the fight, we're getting inner monologue that the whole reason he's here is to continue his mission looking for Solly. And what he's doing is all like this bar and fight club kind of attracts all sorts of people. You got, the law-abiding and not so law-abiding citizens all mixed into one. So he figures between all these people, the alcohol, somebody's going to let something slip and he'll be able to get some more information. But while he's at it, he's like, hey, why not grab a fight? Also, horseshit. Casey is not winning this fight. No way, no how. He's not 300 pounds. He's not super powered in any way, shape, or form. Fighting a 300-pound bison man? No, I'm sorry. There are weight classes for a reason when it comes to fighting. I think at best Casey's like 200 pounds. Maybe 230, somewhere in that area. And I mean, he's built, but no. Somebody who's got, that's be generous and say 70 pounds over you, no. Whatever. We're going to move on. He's not winning that fight, though. We cut away from this. We see April is reaching out to Raph and kind of letting Raph know Casey's needing kind of corralled. He's going to hurt himself. Somebody needs to have kind of a come to Jesus moment with him. So Raph's like, all right. And gets on the hunt for Casey. So catch back up after the match. Casey's at the bar with Lafferty, and then we have Winnie here in the middle. And she's just remarking how it's really good to see Casey. Things haven't been the same without him. It's nice to see him out and about again. And Casey goes on to ask, has there been any mention of missing mutants? And we see this kind of concerns Winnie, and she says, "Not here. Meet me out back." And Casey comes around back, and she's like, "Casey, I'm really glad to see you, but I had to do this. I had to give somebody a call because I was told whoever mentions any kind of missing mutants to give this man a call." And she runs away and is like, "Call who?" And this is where we have Lao Ban. Okay, I may have butchered that. Maybe I got it right on the mark. But that's this mutated bear creature. And he is like an underworld. He's a mobster. And so he takes in Casey for some questioning. Meanwhile, we cut back over and we see Ludovic. He's like kind of like rehearsing some like what it would be like to have breakfast with Marlon and his family, and he's just kind of going through that while he's injecting the serum into himself to kind of suppress his mutated powers and all of that and all of his instincts. So he's definitely self-loathing mutant. You know, he wants to be more like those he serves. And so now we're back over with Casey, and he's being interrogated. He kicks this ape mutant named Wallace right in the face, breaks his jaw. We also have Steve and Titus, who are also questioning him. And basically all they were trying to do is wonder where the rest of their crew is. And they think that Casey is the one who abducted them. And that's what Lau was questioning him right there at the end. And Casey's like, "I have no idea what you're talking about, but let me guess. You guys were out on an assignment, and suddenly there's no response." And that clues Lau into knowing that Casey's not actually involved. And so he asks Casey, you know, who is it that you're searching for? And Casey just briefly explains, "I made a promise to somebody that I would find their dad. That's all the more you need to know." And Lau's like, "Well, I think I can help you keep that promise if you're interested." And so the plan is for Titus and Casey, they're going to use Steve as bait and kind of watch and see if anybody tries to pick him off and see if that helps lure out this, because they got nothing else to go off of. So this is just trying to test out any kind of an idea of how to draw somebody out. So they're just kind of testing the waters. They're watching over, briefly kind of shooting the shit. And then suddenly Titus gets knocked out. You know, Steve's over there calling, not getting anything. And then Casey realizes that Titus has been knocked out. He's looking around. And we find Raph has entered. And, you know, Raph's like, "Dude, what are you doing hanging out with all these criminals? You know that. I know that. Well, what are you doing?" And says, you know what, April, Leo, they're right. You need, you know, we're bringing you in. We got to straighten you out. You're clearly not right in the head. He's not wanting to hear anything Casey has to say. So Casey's like, "You know what, fuck it. We're gonna fight it out then." And so the two fight. Raph throws Casey, and it looks like the match is over between the two, with Raph as the victor. But suddenly Raph gets knocked out from somebody from behind. And then we see this shadow approach, and they say, "A human among mutants. You need to keep better company." So that already kind of clues us into who it is. And of course, yeah, it's Ludovic. And now he has 3 new prisoners, because we have Casey and Raph, as well as Titus, who's already knocked out and ready just to be picked up and hauled away. And that is where this book ends. Pretty solid. I didn't really have any real major issues. I mean, yeah, I poked a little bit of fun at the whole Casey ain't winning that match, and I still stand by that. He is just outweighed. I mean, and it's not like that's 300 pounds of fat ass. No, that is 300 pounds of pissed off bison. No, and muscle at that. No, he ain't winning that fight. Not by a long shot. He doesn't have any weapons. It's just fist to fist. No, he's got no way to gain the upper hand there. but that's really kind of minor in the grand scheme of things. So I'll let it slide. It's a flaw, but it really doesn't affect anything. Him winning or losing that match wouldn't really play out any different for the rest of the book. So I will classify that just as a nitpick, because they could still end up at the bar, and the only thing that would really change is a little bit of dialogue from Lafferty there, and it's like, what he basically all Lafferty said right there is like, "Oh, good fight, but next time you're mine." So, the only thing that would have changed is maybe like, "Oh, we'll see what happens next time," or something like that, or something. But nothing really else stood out to me. So, I'd say that this is probably a 9 out of 10. What I like about the Casey Jones spinoff is they treat Casey with dignity. That is something I am not sensing from the Shredder series. At times, yes, but then when they're trying to introduce their new big bad, they use that as a means to just shit all over Shredder, and I don't like that. So I say if funds were limited and you had to pick one spinoff series, I would say go with the Casey Jones series. So far, issues 1 and 2, very strong. The only thing I had an issue with in the first one that was kind of a more major one is just they got released out of order because it was supposed to tie in with the events of the main, and by that point Hale had already been stopped, where in the mainline series he hadn't yet. Again, you just read it in the correct order then. So that was my biggest issue there. So very solid stuff. Casey's not being done dirty, and I can appreciate that. So yeah, definitely worth checking issues 1 and 2 out for Casey Jones. So, but that is all I have for today, guys. So until next time, take care and God bless.